this is the Square Enix that I think is functioning well.
Mhm.
And then you also have all these other things that they keep coming out with and canceling. You have Flome Stars that I think that might, who knows? I don't know how well that's doing, but I would assume not well. Then you have Babylon's Fall coming in and going out just as pretty much quickly. And so they feel like, I don't know what their overall vision is. And there was that big drive that they kept pushing, which was NFTs and
Yeah,
crypto
I
and all
think that
that.
hurt too.
Yeah, I think
That
that hurt a
soured a
lot of
lot of
goodwill.
people. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. So when it's all said and done, I'm very curious to see what their future holds, because $140 million is a lot. They've also lost a lot of market value since Final Fantasy 16 came out, in which that once they announced that Final Fantasy 14's expansion wasn't going out last year, which, if you were following us any period of time, we were confirming that well before it was confirmed by Square Enix. That's where like the market kind of responded, and it's going to be interesting to see with the new CEO what changes kind of trickle out. And if any of the Dragon Quest games got canceled, I think that's going to be a real loss. If Final Fantasy 9 remake gets the axe, I think that's going to be a real loss for gamers in that regards, because I love that 7 remake is introducing a whole new generation of people into the genre, and that's one of the strengths of 16. It's really done well with more young people because of the combat that it offers. And it's like, as much as I like turn-based, I would like to see kind of Final Fantasy, even with Octopath Traveler and more, branch into kind of these different avenues. Like, we've got our turn-based Final Fantasies, we've got our action Final Fantasies, we've got our online Final Fantasies. So it's going to be an interesting future for sure.
Yeah. There's a question there in the chat, Brian. I don't know if you wanted me to talk to that or but about the why are pixel assets more expensive? So for some context, I am a part of a game dev company. I am not the art guy, but I've been told this by my developers and art guys, right? So 3D assets actually are cheaper to work with, right? Because when you make one 3D asset in a Blender or whatever it is, that's the asset that you then go bend and pose and use throughout any scene. When it comes to pixel art, if like Star Ocean Second Story art, let's say that's true pixel art, or Octopath Traveler 2, right? Each single position or frame you see that pixel art in has to be redone for that scene, for that screen, for that moment. So any type of animation or anything that creates very specific artwork, just labor behind it. So you can, you could do the true pixel experience, or what some games do is they'll take a 3D asset and put like a 2D shader on it. So it looks like a 2D asset, but it's still a 3D model in the background. And that allows it to be a little bit more of an affordable approach to still get that look and feel. So pixel artists, they fetch a pretty penny. And honestly, they're not as ubiquitous as 3D artists are nowadays too, just because of the industry. So that impacts the cost as well. But that, again, I learned that this past year. I was like, oh, that makes sense, but it is kind of interesting to find out.
Yeah, and that actually is the plan that we're doing with the game that I'm working on, which is going with the 3D with the 2D shader attached to it, just to help manage costs and more, which is, I think, is going to be fun.